Let's talk to Tim Harrison. He is the Head of Wealth Management at Linear Investments. Very good morning to you, young Tim.
Good morning.
Right, the week ahead.
Hurrah, Merger Monday, yet
is it
again.
Merger Monday today?
Well, there's been quite a lot of headline news over the last couple of hours.
Yep.
First and foremost, I suggest you look at WPP, Sir Martin Sorrell stepping down. On top of that, you've got Hammerson potentially pulling out or renegotiating the bid for Intu. Obviously, on Friday, you saw the news that Clepier had pulled out of their bid for Hammerson.
Yep.
So it's a kind of a bit of toing and froing there. And then finally, the takeover target, which is Shire Pharmaceuticals. Takeda apparently in the US this week trying to raise investor support for a bid for Shire. Conversely, Shire have sold one of their oncology units this morning for 2.4 billion. So it's a bit of toing and froing in the marketplace. So hopefully with the sun out, we may see a bit more of an interesting week ahead.
And in terms of the geopolitical situation, how are you factoring that in?
Well, again, it's rather queerly, I would suggest the fact that we saw what we saw over the weekend in terms of strikes is actually a good thing, believe it or not, because it shows that we are taking the threat that is quite obvious very seriously.
Yep.
Whether or not there are further repercussions or whether or not there are further strikes, who knows? I'm not a politician, but I think the markets have seen it as a forceful point, and therefore are continuing to sort of buy into the attitude that it's not going to end up as World War III, like many have suggested, but we're kind of nipping it in the bud before it grows legs and arms and wings.
Understood. And finally, in terms of companies reporting this week, anything you're particularly interested in?
Well, we started the US earnings back end of last week, and obviously a lot of banks started the run. The banks do make about 15% of the S&P 500 in the US. So we've had the likes of the Citigroups, the Wells Fargos, etc.
Yep.
This week we've got Morgan Stanley, which will be an interesting one to look out for. And closer to home, we'll be keeping an eye very keenly on Rentokil to see what they have to say.
Understood. Tim, on that note, thank you very much indeed.